A war of words has begun between President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky. Hamas hands over bodies of 4 Israeli hostages, and the U.S. Senate confirms Kash Patel's nomination as the nation's FBI director.
Here's the latest in world news. The IRS fired 6,700 employees, all of which were designated as probationary, working on a trial basis prior to becoming full staff members. More than 5,000 of those staff members were auditors and collection staff dealing with tax compliance issues. That number of 5,000 lines up closely with the number of new auditors the agency had hired with the IRA money for increased enforcement. A news conference between President Trump and President Zelensky is canceled as political tensions grow between the two over how to end Ukraine's ongoing 3-year war with Russia. Trump recently went to Truth Social to call Zelensky a dictator and suggested that Ukraine was to blame for the war. Despite Trump's comments, Zelensky still owns a fairly high level of public trust in Ukraine at 57%. New York Governor Kathy Hochul will not remove New York City Mayor Eric Adams from office, but instead put limits on his power. Hochul has experienced pressure in recent weeks to remove Adams from City Hall, following the mayor's indictment last year due to allegations of corruption. That pressure intensified after the Trump administration moved to drop all charges against Adams so that the mayor could help federal authorities carry out immigration raids. Now, back to the desk.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
Cinderella found the pet that fits her perfectly, and you can too. Share your heart, share your love. Make a shelter pet part of your world. Happily Ever After begins at theshelterpetproject.org.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. You can do it here. But I get it, you're busy, and busy people can't have prediabetes. I read that wrong. They can, okay? Just go to the site.
Welcome to the National Rundown. I'm Dan Hassel.
And I'm Essence Holman.
A fierce back and forth has begun between Ukrainian President Zelensky and U.S. President Donald Trump. Trump called Zelensky a dictator without elections, making false claims that Ukraine initiated the war with Russia. This comes after years of the U.S. standing firmly behind Zelensky as he led his nation against a Russian invasion. Now, 4 weeks into his presidency, Trump is seeking to overturn the long-standing bond between their nations by pivoting towards Russian leader Vladimir Putin, with Zelensky noting that the president is listening to Russian propaganda.
Hamas hands over the remains of 4 Israeli hostages it captured in their initial attack in October of 2023. Hamas claims the 4 hostages returned died as a result of Israeli airstrikes in the Gaza Strip, a claim the Israeli government has not yet confirmed or denied. The return comes near the scheduled end of a weeks-long ceasefire between Hamas and the Israeli government, with the future of the relationship between two parties still anything but certain. Today, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu voiced support for President Trump's plan to relocate 2 million Palestinians, saying he's committed to creating a different Gaza. This, as the families of Israeli hostages still being held wait for their loved ones' return home. Chris Livesay is in Tel Aviv with the latest.
It's been 500 days since the October 7 terror attack, sparking a war that's left Gaza in ruins, while Hamas terrorists still hide 73 hostages somewhere beneath it. Today, Israelis marked the grim milestone with protests and a hunger strike in honor of those Hamas has starved. Like Or Levy, he and 2 others were emaciated when they were released, to the horror of his brother Michael.
The images of them reminded me of the Holocaust.
We spoke in the hospital where Levy is still being treated. 9 days after Hamas exchanged him for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. 500 days ago, he and his wife Einav were at the Nova Music Festival. She was killed. He was kidnapped from inside this bomb shelter. Their 2-year-old son, Almog, was left behind. We first spoke to Or's brother Michael last year.
I promised my parents I'll bring him back. I don't know why and how I got the nerve to promise such a thing. I intend to keep that promise, and this is why I wake up every morning and keep going.
4 months later, that promise was kept. Flying back to Israel, Or held up a sign for his son. Dad is on his way home. Now 3.5, he made drawings for Dad's big day. A day that's yet to come for the dozens who remain in Hamas captivity.
I look happy. I am happy. But I know that there are still hostages there, and those hostages are dying every day. The fact that Or is here is the only way to describe it is a miracle.
Chris Livesay, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
On Thursday, the Senate confirmed Kash Patel as Donald Trump's FBI director. The final vote was 51-49. Despite his controversial nomination, Republicans rallied around Patel, arguing he is the right man to bring reform to the nation's top law enforcement agency they allege has been corrupted. Mr. Patel should be our next FBI director because the FBI has been infected by political bias and weaponized against the American people. Mr. Patel knows it, Mr. Patel exposed it, and Mr. Patel has been targeted for it. These are the words of Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley last week as the committee met to consider and advance his nomination. Patel is a loyalist to the Trump administration, worked in a number of roles during his first administration, including acting Deputy Director of National Intelligence.
Coming up after the break, Delta $30,000 payout after a crash. Appeal court blocks Trump on birthright citizenship and more. Stay tuned.
Open up your books to page 360.
Did you just look at your phone while you was in class? You played yourself.
Talking about inspirational quotes.
You gotta believe in yourself. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to make it, so make it.
Louise, can you give me an example of an inspirational quote?
Don't play yourself. The key is to make it.
And who said that?
I did. Now that's a major key alert.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchool.com.
Delta Airlines is offering $30,000 to passengers who were on the plane crash Monday afternoon at the Toronto Pearson International Airport. A spokesperson with Delta confirmed the offer, adding that it comes with no strings attached and does not affect rights. Officials say 76 passengers were on board when the plane flipped over on the runway while attempting to land. 21 people were injured and 1 remains hospitalized. Thousands are being laid off by the IRS in the middle of tax season as a part of the Trump administration downsizing of the overall federal workforce. Here's Nick with more on World News Minute.
All right, we gotta find this mic, people. Where is it?
Are we still on?
They're bringing me a mic.
Here's the latest in world news. The IRS fired 6,700 employees, all of which were designated as probationary, working on a trial basis prior to becoming full staff members. More than 5,000 of those staff members were auditors and collection staff dealing with tax compliance issues. That number of 5,000 lines up closely with the number of new auditors the agency had hired with the IRA money for increased enforcement. A news conference between President Trump and President Zelensky is canceled as political tensions grow between the two over how to end Ukraine's ongoing 3-year war with Russia. Trump recently went to Truth Social to call Zelensky a dictator and suggested that Ukraine was to blame for the war. Despite Trump's comments, Zelensky still owns a fairly high level of public trust in Ukraine at 57%. New York Governor Kathy Hochul will not remove New York City Mayor Eric Adams from office, but instead put limits on his power. Hochul has experienced pressure in recent weeks to remove Adams from City Hall, following the mayor's indictment last year due to allegations of corruption. That pressure intensified after the Trump administration moved to drop all charges against Adams so that the mayor could help federal authorities carry out immigration raids. Now, back to the desk.
That's not my script. I'm not Nick Rizzo.
Okay, scroll on up.
Are we live? Yeah, we live. We just having some technical difficulties right now, gang. About it. We waiting to get there.
You're off. They've gone to. No, you're good. You're good. Just stay right there.
Is your mic on? Is it? I don't know. Is it on?
They're going far.
Okay.
I think we're doing good.
Right there. That's it right there. Let's see. 7. Hold on. Matt,
They skipped his.
You need it.
ST2 or F6.
C9.
Yeah, they skipped his whole thing.
Say something.
Yeah, you can hear me?
You said C9?
Yeah, C9. It should be in script.
Try again.
Can you hear me?
All right, Dan. 68.
Pull it back, like as in. Oh.
Start there, okay?
Gotcha.
All right.
You can hear me?
Thank you.
We good?
Mic is on. Here we go.
We live right now? We good?
We are not live.
Oh, all
She's
right.
gonna count you in.
Say no more. We cutting the Dan first, right? Because he reading here some more. All right, say no more.
We're cutting the Dan first.
Dan
He's
will
gonna intro
introduce
you.
and then and then.
Say no more.
Here's Mwanza Fitzpatrick with the latest news in entertainment.
A$AP Rocky was found not guilty from his case that stemmed from a shooting in 2021. In an LA courthouse, A$AP Rocky, whose legal name is Rakim Mayers, was found not guilty on 2 counts of assault with a semi-automatic firearm. In 2021, he got into it with a former A$AP member, A$AP Relly. The 2 men got into an altercation that led to Relly saying he was shot by A$AP Rocky. Rocky's defense told the jury that the gun was a prop and that it only shot blanks. He only carried it around for protection. A$AP 12, he took the stand defending Rocky, stated the same exact thing. After the verdict Tuesday, LA County District Attorney Nathan J. Hotchman said in a statement that while it was not the outcome they were hoping for, they respect the jury's decision and the integrity of our justice system. A$AP Rocky and Rihanna told A$AP's lawyer, Joe Tacopina, that their 3rd baby's name would be A$AP Joe. James Bond will now have a new look. James Bond, or 007's parent company, MGM, was bought out by Amazon in March of 2022. Even though the rights of James Bond was bought, the creator still wanted to protect the Bond brand. Today, Amazon reached a deal for the long-term producers Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson to take a step back. Amazon now has full creative control of the Bond series. Fans are looking forward to more movies and hope that the Bond's extensions will be better than the 2023's debutous game show of 007. Cynthia Erivo will host the 2025 Tony Awards. The recent Oscar-nominated actress will host Broadway's biggest show in June. The actress is no stranger to the Tony Awards, as in 2016 she won an award for Best Actress in a Musical for her role in The Color Purple. Erivo is one of the few talents who have been nominated for Tony, Emmy, Grammy, and Oscars in the Oscar. She has won all of them except for the Oscars, for which she is nominated this year. She is excited to have the honor of host. Nominations for the Tony Awards will be announced on May 1st. And back to the desk.
Trump initiates massive layoffs at multiple federal organizations. Find out how many after the break.
party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
The Trump administration begins layoffs at the Internal Revenue Service on Thursday. This is the latest in a part of budget-cutting efforts from the administration, leading to mass layoffs across various federal agencies, including the IRS, TSA, Office of Community Planning and Development, Department of Defense, Federal Aviation Administration, and more. Amid these layoffs, there have been reportedly many high-profile terminations. Trump is reportedly aiming for budget cuts up to 40% across all government agencies.
Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell says that he will not seek re-election in 2026. The announcement comes after McConnell stepped down as GOP leader last year, in addition to experiencing several health issues recently. As a result, the announcement came as no surprise to both Washington and Kentucky. McConnell was first elected in 1986, and after serving 7 terms, the former majority leader stated that holding the position was the honor of a lifetime. Rosemary Farms, a California farm based out of Santa Marina, donated 324,000 eggs to food banks this month to support fire victims, with intentions to send another 240,000 in March. Rosemary partnered with its sister farm in the South Dakota to make the donation possible to both Gather for Good and Los Angeles Regional Food Bank. Among rising prices, eggs have increased the most as hatcheries around the nation cope with the ongoing bird flu epidemic, which leaves these food banks very grateful for Rosemary's donation.
Now, here's Makaya with our sports report.
The Electric Four Nations tournament will reach its ultimate conclusion tonight at 8 p.m., USA versus Canada. The last time these two faced off in this tournament, there was 3 fights in the first 9 minutes of play. The USA ultimately came out on top 3-1, with Jake Guentel leading the team with 2 goals. This is the first time the USA has prevailed against Canada in an international tournament since 2010 in the Vancouver Olympics. Canada doesn't plan on going down easy, however. As in an interview with NHL, superstar Connor McDavid said, "It was fast, tight-checking, competitive, emotional. It had everything you would want in a hockey game. It stinks it didn't go our way, but this thing's far from over." Moving to the NBA, Victor Wembanyama for the San Antonio Spurs is expected to be out for the remainder of the season with a right shoulder injury. The injury is reported as a deep vein thrombosis. The reigning Rookie of the Year was averaging 24.3 points, 11 rebounds, 3.7 assists, and a league-leading 3.8 blocks a game for the Spurs. Victor had only played in 46 games, meaning he is ineligible for the All-NBA and Defensive Player of the Year award. He had already taken 403 three-pointers and blocked 176 shots this season, a feat no other player in NBA history has ever done in one season. This comes only 3.5 months after the Spurs lost coach Greg Popovich after he suffered a stroke and had to take an indefinite leave. For now, the Spurs remain at 12th in the rankings. Back to you.
It's going to be another cold night, but get ready for some sun next week. Those details and more coming up soon.
Got a quarter?
If you drive buzzed,
it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Folks are feeling the cold burn now, but it's going to get a little warmer by next week.
Hi, I'm Jaden Parenti with the weather. Tonight we're going to have a high of 27, a low of 18 with a lot of clouds, and expect some snow. Friday, it's going to get a little sunnier, but we're going to have a high of 36, a low of 20. Same for Saturday. We're going to also have some sun, but we're going to have a high of 41, a low of 20. We're going to get a little warmer on Sunday, but mix in some clouds with a high of 44, a low of 27. Monday's going to be a little warmer, but a lot cloudier with a high of 51 and a low of 28. And Tuesday there is also going to be a bit cloudier with a high of 53 and a low of 37. Now let's hear from the weather window. All right, so get your coats ready, get your jackets, get your scarves. It's going to be a cold one. Here's the parking lot outside both doors. You can see the snow falling. It was snowing earlier. It looks like it might snow possibly over the night. Here's someone walking home. Look, he's bundled up. He got boots on. Make sure you get those. This is walking, I think, down Victoria Street. And here's Rowan Barnes & Noble. You might be able to see some snow as well. But intensified way later, way after that. So, you guys ready? To walk home, get home?
I'm not looking forward to it. You know, I always forget seasonal depression's real until it's February and the sun comes out for the first time in weeks, and I just feel the best I've felt in months. You know?
I'm starting to feel that right now. What about you, Essence?
I'm not ready. I'm not ready at all.
Yeah.
You're done. You're done.
That's all for tonight's National Rundown. Stay warm and have a great night.
All right, now talk amongst each other. Or look like it.
That's great.